So today we're going to be looking at the utilities folder and what we can use in terms of helping us, especially when you have a bit of a slow Mac, or if you've got certain applications that is causing some issues, you know what to look at, as well as going as far as using other utilities, maybe for setting up Windows on your Mac. And yeah, we're going to look at all these different utilities that's within the utility folder. To find the utilities folder, you can just quickly go to Spotlight Search and just type in utilities, and you should find the utilities folder there. Alternatively, the easiest way to do it, or the precise way to do it, is you go to your Finder, and in your Finder, you go to your Applications folder, and you go to Utilities. You scroll right to the bottom. This is now if you're in column view, just in alphabetical order, just go to Utilities, and this is all the utilities that you will have. So I'm going to start from the top down, and I'm just going to move downwards. So first of all, if we go to Activity Monitor. Now, Activity Monitor is basically showing you the resources which certain applications are using, which are open, okay? And I'm just going to show you what the interface looks like. So if I open Activity Monitor, it will show me all types of processes that are running at the moment. Now, a lot of these processes here are many of them are system processes, but what I'm actually looking at is the applications that are running on those, or that is using those processes. So the one thing that I always ignore, I basically ignore these other processes. The only ones that I'm looking at is the ones that is showing the icons, as you can see, right? The ones that I'm now highlighting. So for me to see what processes they are using, I always select, first of all, my CPU, okay, because I want to see how it is using the CPU. Now, I can also see how much memory it is using, energy, disk, network, etc. But I specifically want to see what it's using on the machine itself. So I'm selecting CPU, and here I can see which of these applications are actually using the CPU. Now, because I clicked on CPU, it organizes it from the one that's using the most to, sorry, it's ascending order, or yeah, descending order. So it will show me how much CPU that application is using. As you can see, Zoom at the moment is using the highest, which is a good thing because I'm currently using Zoom. But not only that, if there are certain applications that allows your Mac to hang, right? And it's a very essential application to you, then I would say go to Activity Monitor, choose CPU, and see if that application is taking up or using more resources that is specified, or is using way more resources for that matter. And from here, you can actually kill the application. So say, for instance, I wanted to say kill support, right? Then I can click on that application and I can click on stop. Now, support isn't an application that is actually running on my dock. It's an application that's running in the background and it's showing in my menu bar. So pretty essential for something like this, you know. And yeah, I can just click on the X, and it gives me the choice to quit it or to force quit it. So if I still want to, maybe it's an application that I still want to save certain items, then I can hit on quit and wait for the save box to come up. Alternatively, if it's something that is causing a whole lot of issues, then I can just force quit it and get it over and done with. Also, guys, if my activity monitor is open, then I can right click on the activity monitor icon on my dock, and I can look at my CPU usage only, right? So if I say show CPU usage, then it will show me the CPU usage on the screen, right? Or I can go to dock icon and I can say show CPU usage, which will then show it to me on the dock icon. Okay, so it will remain there and I can close down the window, which will then show it to me on the dock. So it's a pretty useful technique to also use. Okay, so that is activity monitor. Next item is airport utility. Now, airport utility is specifically used for your time capsules, the time capsules, your airport expresses, extremes, and so on. So I've got an airport extreme set up in my training location. So if I go to airport utility, it gives me it will bring about the interface to show me the airport extreme, and it's already connected. I'm not going to go into much detail with this, guys, but inside of my airport extreme, now these are for people that have an airport extreme or time capsule. You can go into it, you can configure it. I can click on edit, put in my network name and set up my network in such a way where I can have a separate wireless network, etc., and even join an existing network if need be. The one thing that I always find as an issue with the airport extremes is on the airport extreme itself, it shows a little green light, or sometimes it will turn orange. Now the green light basically means it's all working, it's all systems go. It shows it here on the interface as well as on the airport extreme itself. However, if it's saying an orange light in it can be a technical issue, but in many cases it needs an update. And once you click on it, you will notice that it will come up and it will specify that there's an update available. So if you see that update, do it immediately. It takes about a couple of seconds to half a minute to install, and then it will all systems go. So that is what your airport utility is used for. It's setting up your airport extremes, expresses, and time capsules. Okay, so next item is audio MIDI setup. So audio MIDI setup is if you have MIDI devices and you need to set up the configurational profile for it. As you can see, I've got it showing my sound devices and even my iPhone that is plugged in. I'm not going to go into detail with this, guys. A friend of mine is working with Logic Pro, so this is something that he normally uses to set up his sound audio devices. And basically, there's these three windows that you can go into your show MIDI studio. I'm just waiting for it to come up. And the other one is network devices. And because it's got all of these interfaces, it's separate sound boxes that he's got set up with his Mac, and he can set profiles for them and configure them to work with Logic Pro or with his sound applications. I'm not going to go into much detail with that. We can, of course, if you guys want to go into more detail with that, we can get the hardware necessary for that and go take you guys through that process. Now, when it comes to, there's another item here called Bluetooth file exchange. So this goes hand in hand with your Bluetooth sharing utility, and I'll show you guys where that is. So I can go to Apple system preferences and to sharing. And under sharing, I can switch on my Bluetooth sharing. And here I can specify when receiving items, accept and save. Or I can change it around to say, ask what to do, folders to accepted items, go to my downloads folder. And when from other devices, always allow, I can change it around to ask to what to do and so on. And then from there, I can, I can go into my Bluetooth preference. And this goes very well if you've got your Bluetooth set up in your menu bar. Now you can see that my Bluetooth is showing on my menu bar there at the top. Also, if you guys go to your control center, you will also see there's your Bluetooth also showing what is connected and so on. So either or. Now, After setting that, you can go to your Bluetooth file exchange, and now you can just easily select the file and then click on send, and it will give you your Bluetooth devices that is on your Bluetooth utilities. But this is the options that you have, even if you want to connect to another Mac and you want to do your Bluetooth transfer instead of using AirDrop and so on, you have that option. But keep in mind, it goes hand in hand with your system preferences under your sharing with your Bluetooth sharing. Okay. Now, the next item is Bootcamp Assistant. I'm not going to go past a certain screen, guys, because if I do that, it will cut you guys off. I've tested this already. But Bootcamp Assistant is used for setting up your Windows partition for running on a Mac. So this is, of course, for those who have the Intel processors. You won't be able to use Bootcamp with the M1 chips. But nonetheless, if I go into my Bootcamp Assistant, click on continue, and we're not going to go further beyond the screen, guys, but it will allow you to set up a partition. Just click on OK. So here I can choose from my hard drive how big I want my Windows partition to be. Now, keep in mind, you need your Windows installer for it. And what it will do is it will also create a disk, which you will use when you have booted into Windows to install the drivers for what's on your Mac. It will download it automatically onto an external disk for that process. The one thing you need to keep in mind is that once you've done the setup, it will boot into Windows, right? And on top of that, if you want to boot back into the Mac, and you have to restart your computer, hold down the Alt key, or alternatively, you can go to System Preferences, and in your System Preferences, you can go to Startup Disk, and in your Startup Disk, you can then choose which one that you would want to start up from if you've got your Windows set up. But again, if you do want to do this process, you can either contact one of our technicians to help us, or our Fundi guys, or just speak to me and I'll take you through the process as well. Okay, but that's basically where you'll do your Windows setup. Color Sync utility is pretty interesting, guys. Color Sync utility works specifically with setting up maybe a color profile. You know, back in the days, a lot of our photographers wanted these screens calibrated, or if you want to calibrate your screen to a certain profile, you can do that, or select the profile that is built into the Mac OS. Let me show you guys. So if I go to Apple System Preferences, and in my System Preferences, I go to Displays. Now under my Displays, I can click on Color. And guys, normally it will show up like that, but if I click on show profiles for the displays only, then it will show me all the different profiles. And as I click on it, you will see my background, or my display color will change, all right? You can select any of these to work specifically with that, but you can also create your own profile, right? You can click on Calibrate, and it will take you through the process. I can click on continue, use native white or point, or untick it, and then I can choose how it must be. It must be more warmer or cooler and so on, right? And after I'm going to go with that option there. After I've chosen that, I can click on continue. I can also specify that use other users to calibrate, and I can give this, I'm just going to call it Angelo's. And I can say continue and put in my login password, and there we go. And it will give me my profile summary, showing me all my settings that I've changed, etc. If I click on done, there you can see there's Angelo's profile setup. But now I can do comparisons with these different profiles, right? There's even for the TV that's inside, there's even a profile for that as well. But now I'm going to keep it on Angelo's profile, close it down. So keep in mind, I was in system preferences under display. And here, if I go to color sync utility, it will take me to my color sync utility, and I can go to profiles, and here it shows me all of the different profiles. There's Angelo's profile and all the other ones. Now I can go to, say for instance, I want to compare the two profiles, that how far the one is from the other one, and so on. So I'm going to go to Adobe RGB, and here it will give me like a three-dimensional representation of what that profile look like. If I go to and it also shows me the path of where that profile is stored. I know that Windows uses the ICM process, .icm extension. We use the .icc, but if you do export it, you can use it on a Windows machine, vice versa as well. And here it shows you your color space for display and so on. And I can click on the arrow and I can say hold for comparison, and it will then fade it out. And here I can go to the one that I've made, which is, where's that one? There we go, Angelo's profile. And here you can see that my one is slightly lower on the green color and more on the warmer red color, right? So this is basically what you can use it for. So for comparing certain profiles with each other, that's one thing. You can also do it for printing, for it will give you, I don't have my printing because the printer is not connected to it, but I've seen people use it for printing as well, doing the comparison with different printers. The one thing that I like to use the color sync utility for as well is to reduce you can make a profile or filter for PDFs, guys, to reduce the size of a PDF by a lot. I brought down the size of a PDF by 50%. So I'll show you guys how to do that. So yeah, I can go to the filters, and these are all filters for your PDFs. And I've played around with it, as you guys can see. But say now I wanted to make a profile for the reduction of the file size for PDF. I can go to reduce file size, right? And what I want is my image sampling. So first of all, I'm going to click on, you see this icon here, the one that's got the two files on top of it. So I'm going to duplicate it because I don't want to mess around with the original. So that will bring about that one. And I'm going to click on the drop down arrow and image sampling. And in my image sampling, the drop down arrow again, I'm going to keep the quality as high. I'm going to set the scale to I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to set my resolution to about 100, and my constraint size I'm going to keep to 0. Okay. So after choosing that, then I can just close it down. Right. Beg your pardon. So now if I should open a PDF, I'm just going to open this PDF here. So now I can click on File, Export. So when you're exporting the PDF, you can go to, remember your format must be PDF, and you can go to the quartz filter, and here you can choose those filters that you've made. So now if I say reduce file size, and now just save it, I'm going to save it into my desktop, and I'm just going to call it reduced, like that for now. So now if I look at that, you can see that it's actually cut it down quite a bit. That is how you can easily play around with that settings and make yourself profiles within the color sync utility. Now, when it comes to the console will allow you to see the certain logs of your machine, right? In terms of what's going on in your machine, so you can easily track if there's certain issues that are certain apps are causing, or if something is crashing, and so on. And this goes hand in hand with your log file, guys. Just want to show you this quickly, and this is something that one of the techies have shown me. So if I go to I go to folder, and I go /var/log, it will take me to my log folder, right? Now, this might sound a bit technical, but stick with me, guys. I'm just going to go to my list view. And in my list view, it shows me all of these folders. And what I would like to do is, the reason why I'm bringing you guys here is because there are two logs that specifies if something is causing a lot of issues. Two folders or a file in a folder will always shows you accumulated amount of storage it's taking up. And the two files, or folder and file, is the ASL one. Mine, you can see, is pretty low because I have very little issues or hardly any issues on it. And the system log file. So it's those two. If those two show a large amount of storage, then there's normally a bit of an issue on the machine itself. So now, to get to see this in more detail, we will go to our under our utilities folder. We will go to our console, and here it will then show you all of the logs of the machine. So if I click on my machine, then I say start streaming, and here it now will show me how it was logged, the different processes that I've done. It will document all of that. But, and you can see, because my phone is plugged in, I can even see it for my phone as well. So, but what's so cool about the Catalina one, it even gives you a crash report. It shows you if an app has crashed, what is the cause of it, and so on. I can also, do you remember the system logs that I was looking at, guys, earlier on, that file? There it is, and it shows you all of the logs, or it logs as you have gone through the process of your system. If I go to the machine, I can also look at errors and faults, right? And then I can go to my system logs, my log report, and I can go to the system log. Now, the log report will give you all of your different logs, and you can view that as well. And guys, I just picked up something now, the Wi-Fi log. My Wi-Fi went down at home. I'm working from the office, so I just want to check something out. And here we can see my Wi-Fi went off. I was at home at about after 7, and here you can see that there's all the logs when I tried to connect, right, to my Wi-Fi. It's showing me all the logs that it wasn't able to connect, and so on. So you can easily track these things down, and so it's pretty good in terms of showing you what's going on. And you can even see the logs when you're doing an installation of your Mac OS. I'm just going to close that down. So that's my console. Now it comes to the digital color meter. Now this is for people that are photographers, or if you're doing fine art and so on. So here you can actually see the colors in terms of the RGB of anything that you're moving your mouse pointer to. First of all, you need to select the color option that you have there. So sRGB is normally for people that are photographers, that you want to see specific colors of an image and so on. If you want to see, if you're working with fine art and so on, then you will go with the Adobe RGB, and that will give you a better color profile. And here you can, I can zoom in more with my aperture size. And if I move, you can see that this is it's basically equal on red, green, and blue. And if I move to certain other areas, it will show me how much of the RGB is there in that particular color. So that's a pretty good utility if you're a photographer or if you're using fine art. Disk utility. So guys, we are running out of time, so I'm going to look at the stuff that we will use maybe on a very that we will use more on a day-to-day basis for that matter. So if I go to my disk utility is specifically used for your disk operations, like say you want to format a disk or you want to do some repairs on a disk, then this is specifically used for that. So here you can see I've got my Macintosh HD, which is my hard drive on my machine. It's split into these different volumes. And I can then go to these volumes and I can do different actions on them. I can do a first aid, which will then check the disk for any errors and repair it, right? I'm not going to do that at this point. I can create different partitions on a hard drive or on an external hard drive. Can plug in a flash drive and partition that particular drive. Or yeah, I can even take my hard drive here and say I want to partition that one. So as you can see, it comes up as a little pie chart. I can click on the plus, assign the size for that partition, make it a certain format, give it a name, and so on. And as you guys can see, I've got two different partitions. I've got one for my for Big Sur, and I'm running Mojave also on my Mac. So I've got this one which is running Mojave. So this is how I partitioned it to run those two. And I'll show you guys when I clicked on partition, there's my one for my Mojave, and this is the one for my Big Sur, as you guys can see. So yeah, so you can run multiple operating systems besides running Windows and Mac on your Mac. Okay. So I'm just going to go into the keychain because that's the one thing that a lot of people ask me about. The keychain is where you can, see all of your or check out what passwords is for certain items that you have had access to with your machine with. And it's also if you've got your system preferences under your Apple ID, if you've got your iCloud keychain switched on, then this local keychain will turn into your iCloud keychain, meaning those passwords will also now be cloud-based and you will be able to access it from your phone as well. So yeah, I can now say, for instance, a Wi-Fi password that I'm looking for. I get this a lot from my clients and they tell me they forgot their Wi-Fi passwords. Then I can easily go into the keychain access. You can spotlight search this straight. And so for instance, in my network is called Pretenco. So I can type in Pretenco and then you can see that it comes up. And I can double click on that and show password. I put in my login password and there we go. There the password is showing for my Wi-Fi. Okay. So these are how I can easily see my passwords for my Wi-Fi, my email, and so on. I can just type it in at the top, put in my login password, and then be able to access or see what that password is. Again, not everything, some items will be encrypted. So guys, don't worry if you're using your credit card details and so on, it's stored. Those files are 256-bit encrypted. Okay, Migration Assistant this is more used for if you are migrating from one Mac to the other, or even from a PC to the other. Migration Assistant, as you can see, it wanted to kick me out. I'll just say later. I think this, as well as the Bootcamp Assistant, does the same thing. So Migration Assistant makes it possible for if you guys got a new Mac, and even as a PC, you can migrate your all of your content from your PC to your Mac with using Migration Assistant, or even from Mac to Mac. Fantastic thing is, guys, even if you've got Outlook or Windows Mail, it will put it into Apple Mail with all of its folder structure and everything with that as well. So pretty good. And now the screenshots, we've talked about that when we did our screenshot. This is basically where the utility is using. Shortcut key is, of course, Command, Shift, and 5. So if you hold on Command, press Shift and number 5, it will take you to the screenshot utility as well. Script editors, if you want to write Apple scripts. So if you want to write a script to do a certain action, then you can do that. System information is your overall information of your Mac. You can access it here, or you can go to the Apple, hold down the Option key, and you will see your About This Mac will turn into system information. And guys, what this does is it shows you everything of your Mac, all of your hardware components, what was installed, what applications you are running on your machine, what's the latest version, when it was installed. It gives you everything, no stone unturned. Basically, you will see in your system information. Terminal is if you want to work on the back end of your Mac, this is where you will find it. You know, if you maybe we must look at using basic terminal commands in one of our sessions. And of course, there's the voiceover for people with visual impairments or who's totally blind, that you can change your utilities to change the voice, change your voiceover commands, and so on, or where you attach Braille equipment to your Mac as well. So that is the utilities folder. Sorry guys for keeping you 7 minutes extra. I can deep dive into these things, but I more use it when I'm doing my support essentials. I really go deep into a few of these items. Anyway, in my presentation, I'll leave it open for questions. Mr. Clark?
Angela, yes, no, really, I've got a duck, unfortunately, but I just wanted to say that was one of the best for me. This is the most enlightening one I've had. I really honestly found this amazing. You know, it was like going where no man has been before. I've never, ever used that button. I've been too scared to touch it. And I have absolutely no idea the power of all those utilities. So, yeah, I'm going to have great fun just exploring that. And the keychain thing is what I've been wanting to know for absolutely years. What is this keychain? Now it suddenly makes absolute sense. So thanks for answering that problem. Yeah, great.
Firstly, with regards to the time capsule and the Airport Extreme and Expresses, they've stopped selling that a couple of years now. And ad hocly you get updates on it. But do you have anything in mind that you can use as a replacement? Because that works very, very well. But I mean, the fact that they're not going to be supporting it in a few years' time is quite a huge risk at the moment. So yeah. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, there are quite a few. I know Western Digital brought out this device called, not the MyBook, beg your pardon, a client bought one. It's a 4 terabyte hard drive, which you plug into your router and you can wirelessly back up to it and so on. It does exactly the same thing as a time capsule.
Can I ask you a question, Carl? Are you looking to replace your wireless network, or are you looking for an alternative network backup, or both?
Both. The time capsule one is great for backups and you know, keeping everything linked. The Wi-Fi with the Airport Extreme, I use that to cover the area across my home. You know, right. So I have it linked via Cat6 cables, and that keeps the connection very strong. And I'm able to use Wi-Fi very well. And then I use the Express for sound, so I get sound connected directly to that, and I use that.
Right, so, you plug speakers into it.
Yes, I have a set of Bose speakers, so it works very, very well having it linked directly to the Express. But It's not a problem now. It's just that down the line, that thing is going to become, obsolete, because I'm fearful, and it's doing a very good job, but I'm just
you want to have somewhere to go.
Yes, I don't see anything really advertised out there that could replace it, and I just thought maybe you guys would be testing a lot of different things.
Yeah, you won't get one device that will replace the time capsule, because that was the beauty of the time capsule. It was both a Wi-Fi network and it was a backup system.
Yeah.
I think Apple have got a little history of this. They were one of the first people to bring out a commercial laser printer.
Yeah.
But 15 years down the road, they got out of the printer business because people like HP could bring out printers much, much, much cheaper than them.
Yeah.
So the technology for Wi-Fi is moving on quite a bit. And if you want to have a look at just something to replace your Wi-Fi, I would look at mesh networks. What a mesh network does is it has dedicated radios that deal with the communication between the devices. Or you can do what you've done. You can connect them with Ethernet, and then it's got other radios free for your Wi-Fi access points.
Okay.
I bought one from Netgear. It's called an Orbi. They're really good. They're not cheap. I've got a master station and a satellite, and I've got great Wi-Fi coverage throughout the house. Linksys did one as well called the Velop, which is VELOP. You can buy them as 2 or 3 station devices. And Ubiquiti also do a mesh network, which is really, really good. Those are the 3 that I would recommend when and if you want to come and replace your Wi-Fi network. The other side that Angelo was talking about is having a reliable backup system that might be a network backup system.
Yeah.
And there are a number of third-party drives that are RAID arrays, which are a series of disks connected together, and you've got redundancy built into them. So if one drive fails, the data from that drive is written across the other drives as well.
Yeah.
And some of them have time machine compatibility built into them. So Synology is one company that does it. QNAP, I think, is another one that does it. Drobo did have time machine compatibility into it. So it's just a box that you put on your network. They're called NASs, network attached storage devices. And you just plug it into your network. It will appear on your network. You probably have to go in through a web browser and configure it, but that will give you time machine capabilities. So I think cut a long story short, you will not necessarily get a single device that will replace a time capsule. And it's probably best to look at the best of breed for both.
Okay, thanks for that.
Anyway, awesome, gentlemen. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Same to you, Carl.
You're the best. Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good Christmas.
Take
Bye.
care, everyone.